You are not the first one to develop an information security strategy. This means lots of mistakes have already been made in the past. Now this lecture will provide you with a few mistakes to avoid when developing your own strategy. Alright, let's dive into some interesting ways our minds can trick us, especially when we're trying to make decisions or plan for the future. Now imagine you're playing a video game and you're super confident you can beat the boss on the first try without any help. This feeling is what we call overconfidence. It's like when we think we are better at something than we actually are. Now it's cool to be confident, but sometimes this can make us aim too high without realizing it, kind of like trying to jump across a huge gap without checking if there's a bridge nearby. When we're making plans or decisions, thinking we can't fail might make us miss the mark completely. Now let's add a sprinkle of optimism to the mix. Optimism is like wearing rose-colored glasses that make everything look a bit brighter and better than it might actually be. It's great to be positive, but imagine always thinking your favorite team will win every game. This kind of thinking can make our plans too shiny and perfect, by ignoring the fact that sometimes things go wrong. It's like planning a picnic and not considering it might rain. Being optimistic is awesome, but we also need to be a bit realistic to make sure our plans stand strong even when surprises come our way. Lastly, we've got something called anchoring. Imagine you're shopping for a new backpack, and the first one you see costs $100. Then you find another one for $50. Suddenly the $50 backpack seems like a steal, right? That first price, $100, sticks in your mind and affects how you see all other prices. This is anchoring. Now when we make decisions, if we stick too closely to the first piece of information we get, like an initial estimate or a past event, we might not be giving new, possibly better information a fair chance. It's like always thinking the first pancake is the best and not noticing the next ones might actually be tastier. So when we're planning or making decisions, it's important to check if we're being too confident, too optimistic, or sticking too much to our first idea. Mixing a bit of caution with our confidence, balancing optimism with a splash of reality, and being open to new information can help us make better choices. It might take some practice, but it will definitely make you a better security manager. Now, number 4 on the list is the status quo bias. This is our natural tendency to stick with what we already know or have, even if it's not the best option available. It's like when you keep using the same old phone because you're used to it, even though a new phone could work much better for you. This bias, along with the endowment effect, which makes us value something more just because we own it, can prevent us from seeking out new and possibly better alternatives. It's as if we're on autopilot, following the same path we always have, simply because it's the path we know. Next up is mental accounting. This concept is about how we treat money differently depending on where it comes from or what we plan to use it for. For example, you might treat a $100 birthday gift differently from earning $100 at work, even though it's all the same currency. This can lead us to make illogical decisions about spending or saving, because we're not looking at our money as one whole resource. It's like having different jars of money for different purposes, but sometimes what's in one jar could be better used for something else. The next thing is the herding instinct. This is our tendency to follow the crowd, doing what others do rather than making independent decisions. It's comforting to go along with the majority because it feels safer and less risky. However, this can stifle our own critical thinking and innovation. Just because a lot of people are doing something doesn't necessarily mean it's the best course of action. It's important to evaluate options on their own merits rather than just going along with what everyone else seems to be doing. Last but not least, the false consensus effect is when we assume that others think and feel the same way we do, even if that's not the case. It's like believing that everyone loves the same movie as you simply because you and your close friends do. Now, this assumption can lead us to overestimate how much people agree with us, which can affect our decisions and interactions. To combat these, we must acknowledge biases like confirmation bias, where we seek out opinions that support our beliefs, selective recall, where we remember only what reinforces our assumptions, and biased assimilation and evaluation, where we accept evidence that supports our views by rejecting contradictory information. Lastly, group thinking can pressure individuals into agreement, stifling dissent and critical evaluation. It's crucial to foster an environment where diverse opinions are encouraged and considered. In summary, awareness and critical thinking are your best tools against these pitfalls. Always question assumptions, seek diverse perspectives, and be prepared to adapt based on objective and not biased analysis.